Good morning, everybody. Keith Engle here for TGI Sports Talk Sunday stream of consciousness. How's everybody doing today? Great to have you with us. We welcome everybody on the McGrath Podcast Network. All of you watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, wherever you might catch this show either live or recorded later. We thank all the groups, obviously, that allow us to share the shows and get such great reception. Gosh, the views have been picking up again. We had fallen off for part of the summer, but the views are way up again, and we really appreciate that from all you guys. And all of you that will participate today, we thank you for popping in. Again, you'll see some of the groups that I refer to scrolling across the bottom of the screen, but these are just a tiny fraction of all the people that support this show. And we thank John Gonzalez from the Sports Authorities, Greg Rawlings from America's Pastime, the love of baseball, Flo and Ken over at Bottom Line Sports, and Hot Rod. Let's Talk Sports, Ken Krause over at Golf Bud Sports of All Sorts, Taylor Phillips at the Michigan Sports Truth. I always mix up his name. I apologize, Taylor. He's a great supporter here. He does some great stuff on focusing on Michigan, Detroit football sports. Also, a quick shout out to Ralph Williams at RW Media. Ralph's does some great stuff out of Ocean City, Maryland. Pittsburgh Focus National Footprint, specifically the Sports Corner that he does with Smoking Jim Frazier every Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Guys, we got a lot to talk about today. And again, it's your show, so you can go anywhere you want. We had a remarkable debut from Joshua Baez for the Cardinals yesterday, something nobody's ever done. And we can talk about some of the great rookie performances you may or may not remember. 3 home runs yesterday, showing power to left field, right field, center field. What a great debut. 3 at-bats, his first 3 at-bats, 3 home runs. Great job there. We'll talk a little bit about the Yankees' injury situation and their inability to score runs. Mizorowski with another great start, beating the Dodgers yesterday. He's 12-5 now at 1.75 ERA. We can talk about the Field of Dreams game. Again, I said the other day on the MLB update, this is something Major League Baseball does right, and I missed something that they do wrong, and we'll get into that. But I think, as a rule, this is really a cool event. Watching those Hall of Famers come out of the cornfield was just too cool. In the NFL, we got a full slate of preseason games this week between Thursday and yesterday. Why don't we play any Sunday games in the preseason? I don't get it. But we can talk about that. How important are they? I don't understand people getting all excited about Carson Beck and Ty Simpson yesterday. Carson Beck last week in a Hall of Fame game. Ty Simpson yesterday. Their preseason games, they mean nothing. Their performances really mean nothing, because I can give you 10 other quarterbacks who played really great that people just go, it's just preseason. Whoa, it's the same both ways, guys. So we can talk about that. We can talk about Dart yesterday taking a big hit for the Giants. Why concussion protocol? He got hit in the chest. Maybe his head went down, and I didn't see that. But he was confused by it. His coach was confused by it. Jamal Adams out for the year with potentially a career-ending injury yesterday for the Vikings. We had some big contracts being signed. The Seahawks signed Teron Arnold, recently released by the Lions. That's some big news. Devon Weathers, highest paid cornerback. How will that affect the Christian Gonzalez negotiations with the Patriots? In the NBA, we had the Naismith Hall of Fame inductees yesterday. We can go through those, and I think there's some. Listen, Mark Few belongs. Candace Parker belongs. I'm not so sure about Amari Stoudemire. Doc Rivers, borderline. Mike D'Antoni? I don't know. We can talk about that. The great Don Nelson passed away. Oh, and baseball, too. Two things. Butch Henry, former Met, played with some other teams, but mostly with the Mets. We remember him. With the last Met to wear number 42 after it was retired for Jackie Robinson. He passed away, I believe, at 54 years old on Friday. So our condolences go to him, his family and friends. And also Don Nelson, since we were on the air last Sunday, passed away. A great NBA coach and player. Also in the Hall of Fame without getting to an NBA final. Something to talk about. T. Wolves will retire Garnett's number. Oakley's MSG suit against MSG has been dismissed. Tyrese Halliburton is shocked that his comeback game next year is not going to be on national TV. Russell Westbrook retires, so some news there. College football news. Kirk Herbstreit, his dog, Peter, has got an NIL deal with Hertz. We can talk a little about that. Jeff Monken at Army, great coach. You watch my show. My college football show is back on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. If you watch my shows, you know I love Jeff Monken, great coach at Army, done a great job at Army. Considering where he is, great coach. Gets a new 5-year deal. And this is for the Georgia fans out there. I've made up my mind that Jordan Lyles, running back for Miami, needs to transfer to the University of Georgia, and we can talk about why. But it's your show, guys. I know we've gotten started, a slow start with the comments here the last couple of Sundays, which is fine. But I want to remind everybody, too, and we're probably going to shorten, well, not probably, we're going to shorten the show here in a few weeks when football starts. We'll be shortening it to an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes, depending on the situation. But let's get those comments out and start it early. Also, on a football note, I'll be getting this week, I'll get the Pick'em leagues up and running for professional and college football. I had a couple questions about that yesterday come to me. And I want to thank everybody for all the great birthday wishes yesterday. Yesterday was my 66th birthday. We're hoping to have 66 more, but we had a nice day here with family. And I thank my wife for that nice little party we had yesterday and the thoughtful gifts and the gazillion birthday wishes from you guys and all the Facebook people that'll see this as well on Facebook. Thank you so much. I try to thank every one of you personally. And if I miss somebody, I sincerely apologize. But the outpouring was just moving. Thank you. Michael Gott, good morning from across the pond. How are you today, my friend? The NFL is here. Michael, did you get into fantasy football this year? I know we got you in last year, and hopefully you're in. I think we're full, and I don't see CA here yet. We'll talk to him about that. Rick thought we were full, so we'll see what he's got to say about that. Well, good morning, Michael. Good morning, Chris. It's funny. I saw this. I was looking at some great debut performances, and this is one that came up. JP Arcia home run, his first MLB pitch, finished, and so did Joshua Diaz yesterday. First pitch he saw, he hit for a home run. But Arcia, I'm probably saying his name wrong, finished the day 4 for 4 with 2 home runs, a double, single. When asked about the triple, he joked, "I've got to be really lucky to hit one of those." You know, I didn't realize, and I thought hitting a home run your first major league bat was much rarer than it is. 145 players have hit a home run in their first major league baseball at bat. Pretty impressive. Joe Flacco is backing up Joe Burrow, at least as we speak today, backing up Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Good morning, John Gonzalez. As I mentioned at the top, John Gonzalez is one of our great supporters, probably our very first major group supporter, John Gonzalez from 7 years ago now, I think. John, thank you so much for that. And John is 100% the best admin out there. John, I get into it here now and again, but love John to death. And he has got the best group going, both for contemporary and nostalgia in sports. So if you haven't joined the sports authorities, you need to do so. Good morning, Sue. Good to have you with us. I hope you heard my good hello. I was trying to sneak in a hello when we were chatting on the roundtable show on the McGrath Podcast Network this morning. So good morning, Sue. Thank you for the birthday wishes. Again, I plan to have 66 more. Coffee can do it. I probably will have to go back to work. No, if I live 66 more years. John saying good morning to Danny. I don't see Danny yet with us. Good. Oh, thank you, John. I appreciate that. I don't know how far you are behind me. I don't know if I see your birthday come up. I think it does. I think I've wished you a happy birthday before. All the cool kids were born in August, though. Come on. We all know this. 66 is the new, I was going to say 36, but 46 is good. I feel pretty good. My mind is still, in my mind, I still see myself, like 25 years old. My body, when I try to do things like I was 25, will tell me I'm not. But for the most part, knock on wood, man. 66 is great. I have loved my 60s. I really have. Being retired helps because, I don't think I really realized how stressed out I was from working until I actually retired. And when that stress was gone and the way I felt, for the last 12 months has been remarkable. Thank you, Michael. You should have got a notice from, I think it was on ESPN, right? You should have got a notice because I think I saw you in there. What was your team name last year, Michael? And I'll check it out for you today. Michael, can you do me a favor and send me, because CA's not on Facebook, which makes this challenging, but can you send me a private message? Because I don't remember I know you have aliases you go by. Part of Peaky Blinders or something over there. But send me a message and tell me what your team name was last year, because I think you're in there. And if not, I think you might have filled it. But how about Magnus as the greatest? Hello, Stephen Moyer. How are you, my friend? Good to have you with us. Well, I thought Bobby Fischer was the greatest chess player of ever myself. I'm dating myself. I just watched a great documentary. Believe it or not, when we were cruising in Alaska, I was up really early one morning and turned on some of the on demand. And there was this great documentary about Bobby Fischer and his match with Spassky, I think is who he played, right? If you're a chess guy, Stephen, you probably know this better than I do. Absolutely great. There was a movie, I know, Finding Bobby Fischer, and this was a documentary, and it was awesome. What a complicated individual Bobby Fischer was. Followed his whole life and focused on that match with Spassky. Michael's been watching flag football in Dusseldorf, Germany, qualifications for the Olympics. Pretty much enjoy. Oh, Michael, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll like it. And here in the States, when it first was announced, there was a lot of, people who being hyperbolic and saying, oh, we need to bring the best players in the NFL to play flag football. First of all, teams wouldn't allow that, I'm sure. And second of all, flag football is not the NFL. There are people who do the flag football professionally at a very high level. And we saw here a few months ago where actual flag football players, the best in the country, were playing players from the NFL, and they absolutely destroyed the NFL players. It's a different game, but maybe I'll like it. It's part of it's my age, I guess, Michael. I'm just so hard with change, as you know from watching my shows. I don't deal with change and rules, and the Olympics has eliminated so many sports that I enjoyed. Different sports that you don't see every day. I mean, we don't see flag football every day. But I'm going to give it a chance, and we'll see. I think it's a gold medal sport, right? It's not there just for, well, I guess even if it's there just for what they call it. They did this with baseball, and baseball's still not back. They did it on a trial basis. There was another term they used. But we'll see. I want to see how it goes here. I'm not shutting the door on it. I will tell you, when it comes to football, Rick pointed this out to me yesterday, and then I saw there was on CBS 6, the local news here. They had a story on it last night when I watch a late news about a lot of high schools here going to 8-man football. A lot, mostly, partly because they can't field teams. And I know that, well, I don't say my old school because my old high school doesn't exist anymore. Sue Ray, who said hi earlier, is an old Perth mate. So is Rick. And Kenny and a bunch of guys here that follow the show and participate. They merged with another high school after we graduated, or after I graduated. Well, after they graduated, all of them. So it's Broad Auburn Perth now, but they are one of the schools going to 8-man football, and they've had a pretty good football program at Broad Auburn Perth. So I don't understand all the logistics behind this, and we'll get some more information. I imagine this is happening all over the country. This is just here in Section 2 in New York State, I think. Chris Buchowski was he was strong, built, big. He would look like a football player for sure. Look like a defensive end. He had a couple good years with the Mets when Bobby Valentine was there. He credited Bobby Valentine with helping him out in his career. He had, I don't remember the year, mid-90s. He hit 24 homers, 25 homers, and 81 RBIs, and was a major force on that team. A good career, not a great career, but a lot of his ex-teammates have spoken very highly of him. And again, he was proud to be the last Met to ever wear number 42 when it was retired for Jackie Robinson. If you remember back then in the late 90s, I think it was, when Major League Baseball announced that number would be retired forever in the honor of Jackie Robinson, that any player that was wearing it could continue to wear it throughout their career and would never be distributed again. In fact, Mariano Rivera, if I'm not mistaken, was the last player in the major leagues to wear number 42. And as I've said to you several times, I said in response to the Pete Crow Armstrong debacle about Babe Ruth, that I'm not saying these two guys were the best players in the history of baseball, but the two most important players in the history of Major League Baseball and maybe sports are Babe Ruth and Jackie Robinson. Got distracted, sorry. Michael's a New Year's Eve baby. Birthday and Christmas presents all in one. That kind of stinks. That's a week away. You should get 2 parties. You get cheated. I always thought my friends who were born on Christmas were losing out. I appreciate gifts a lot more now. Got a really cool grandpa hat yesterday. I should have brought it with me. Damn it. Got a really cool grandpa hat. And I got to tell you, that's the thing about my 60s now. I've never been a big kid person, guys. I don't have my own kids. My wife's kids treat me, more like a dad than a stepdad. And I really appreciate that. And my grandkids look at me as their papa. Well, one of them does. The other one isn't speaking yet, but she's coming around. But Scarlett, who you've seen on the air here many times, she just kills me. And she helped out with my dad. My dad is, 91, and struggling a bit, but she was so sweet. She's going to be 4 years old in a month, a little over a month. But she was so helping him in the house, sitting next to him and helping him while he was eating. It was so cute. She just kills me, man. She's ruined me. Good morning, Danny. Good to have you with us out there in California. 619. Danny is dedicated. Great morning. Hello, Ken. How are you? I mentioned earlier Flo and Ken and Hot Rod from the Bottom Line Sports podcast. These guys do a lot of great stuff. I try to share it when I can, even though last week. Ken, if you're going live again today, I should give you guys my phone number to call me or something, because I said, tell me what time it is and I'll try and do it. I wish I could set it up ahead of time to share. It's impossible to do, though, on Facebook and Twitter. But if you're going live this afternoon, let me know and I'll share it. You guys should check it out. I know Danny has checked it out and shared it to our TGI Sports Talk chat. And by the way, anybody who's interested in being in that chat group, I haven't mentioned in a while, you're more than welcome to come in. And it's just, I don't know, there's 6 or 7 of us in now that'll that'll chat. Some people are more participate. You don't have to participate. You can just be there and watch the interesting things that the group posts. So if you ever want to get in there, just let me know and we'll put you in. Michael's going to look up my team details. Yeah, check that out. And if you can't find him, still message me, Michael, and I'll see if I can. If I get into the league, I think I can figure out who you are. And I would, because usually, again, the people who were in it the year before get notified by ESPN to go in. This is why I tell CA, and I don't see him here yet at all, to always check that out. Because I don't think you can assume everybody from last year's gotten in. And Michael, this is a good case. So, and I'll also get the pick'ems up here in the next this coming week. I'll get the pick'ems up, so we'll get those started too. Hey, James, long time no see. I haven't seen you in about 21 minutes. James is our resident Saint fan. Does a great job on all. By the way, James and Brian do a great movie review show. What did I come up? I came up with one and told Brian Wednesday night he had to do a review on it. I don't remember what it was. It came up, something that came to into my head while we were doing the show Wednesday night. But Brian and James do a great podcast reviewing movies, and James is on all the roundtable shows on the McGrath Podcast Network and does a great job. He's also a big LSU fan and a Saint fan, and I like his Saints this year. I do think the Tigers, though, the LSU Tigers are maybe just a bit overrated. Sam Levitt gets hurt, they're going to have some problems. But college, remember, we're back on Wednesdays now, live at 7 p.m. with the College Football Huddle, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's not age. I like change. It's not age. It is age. It's my age. I didn't say everybody was this way, Danny. I know me. I am one stubborn SOB, man. And Danny again found a way to get ABS into the conversation. I'm like, did you see now? We're going to do check swings now too, by the way. The technology is almost there. Danny, it's not going away, so I'm done really arguing about it. Well, I'm not done, but I think now, if we're going to do this, you need to go all in and just eliminate the challenges. I read an article, the same thing about the NFL. That with the technology that we have, we should be able to get the calls right without relying on coaches' challenges. But again, I don't want to slow down the game. You can tell me, and I agree 100%. I don't want to get into a full-fledged thing about this again. But I'm just going to say again, everybody wants the calls right. And how we go about it, I think we disagree. I'm just not a big fan of all this technology taking over every aspect of my life. Just me. Which is why when machines do rise up, I'll be the first to go. So if you don't see me here one morning, it's probably because, without an announcement, because I wouldn't, just show. I always tell you when I'm not going to be on. Next Sunday might be problematic, by the way, because I'll be in Connecticut visiting my stepson and his wife, and we're going out to a AA game Saturday night. So I don't know whether I'll have the best connection in the morning or not, but I will try to do the show. I'll talk to my wife. Maybe we'll go out Friday night and then come home early. Well, I don't know what we're going to do. How did I get on this? Oh, if I don't show up one day, you'll know that probably Alexa or one of the other appliances in this house that runs via AI killed me in my sleep. Yeah, I don't. I gotta believe, and I gotta look, because I was half awake last night when I was watching the local news, and I didn't hear I gotta believe the reasoning is participation is way down in a lot of these schools up here. And again, there's a lot of still small school districts. Some as small as the school district I graduated in, per 50. Oh my God, almost 50 years ago now. 48. they're very small, and it's hard to. I mean, Rick, if you're here, Rick Sherlock played football at Perth, and he realizes, or Kenny, I know Kenny isn't with us a lot anymore, but Kenny played, and everybody played both ways because there weren't enough guys. You know, you had 25 men on a team. Michael's trying to grasp and understand the transfer portal in college football. Has it enhanced the game or ruined college football? So we've talked about this a lot, Michael, and we'll continue to talk about it, certainly on the College Football Huddle and this show. I think the idea of the transfer portal in general is okay. Guys shouldn't have to necessarily sit out a year when a coach leaves or maybe certainly when a coach leaves. I think you should be able to transfer and move on to a different program. But what it's turned into, and again, this is my problem with change and changing rules. They all get bastardized. So what it's become is, and there's part of the congressional bill, I believe, is to limit the transfer portal to one unpenalized transfer in your college career, which would be only 5 years too, by the way. You wouldn't be able to be there 8 years anymore. Which I think is fine. One transfer without being penalized a year or sitting out a year, which is what you used to have to do when you transferred, would be understandable. But what it's become, Michael, is unlimited free agency. You see guys, JT Daniels comes to mind, right? He was a big prospect at USC, transferred to Georgia. He transferred to West Virginia. He transferred to Rice. He played for 5 teams in 5 years. That's what's ruining college football. Way too bad. Quite frankly, if I want to be honest, my own team, the Hurricanes, Miami Hurricanes, their quarterback this year will be Mensa, who Duke stole from Tulane. And now Miami in turn steals him from Duke. And they've gone to court to try to keep him from leaving. And he left at the 11th hour, too. He told them they were staying, and at the 11th hour, he left. So, again, I think the rule itself was put in to help the game and help the athlete. But, again, it's been bastardized, just like everything else. The 5-year rule now, right? You've got 5 years to play college football from the time you're 19 years old. I think it's from the time your high school class graduates or you turn 19. You've got 5 years to play. Consecutive years. If you're hurt for 3 of them, well, you got 2 years to play. But now you've got players that are going to have filed lawsuits to say, well, because I graduated last year, my 4 years, and they were only there 4 years, I should get another year. Everything that happens, especially in college football, is litigated to death now. And they because there's money involved, they say that you're inhibiting my ability to make a living. Are you serious? So anyway, there you go, Michael. Good. In theory, like a lot of things. Sorry, I'll come right back to you, Chris. Like a lot of things, in theory, the portal is a wonderful thing. But the way it's worked out, it's been bastardized to be something that is not attractive to a lot of people. But then, sorry, Chris, but then, I'll go on and on about loyalty of players when you leave a school 4 or 5 times. No loyalty. Why should the players show loyalty when the programs don't show any loyalty? Right? They don't show loyalty during realignment. Did USC and UCLA and Washington, Oregon show any loyalty to their fan base, to their conference, to the other teams in the conference, to history? No. Same thing with Nebraska. Same thing with Oklahoma and Texas. I go on and on. There's no loyalty anywhere in sports. part of the problem. Sports used to be such a great learning space for kids, and now it's not. What's it teaching kids now? You don't get your way, we'll go to court. I've always argued that sports was a great place for kids to learn about life. And maybe it still is, because maybe that's the way life is. But I was talking about actually winning and losing in life, because you're going to lose as much as you win in life, and learning to lose. That's why I never understood not keeping score, because learning to lose is an important life skill. You don't always get what you want. I know I've kind of gone off on a little stream here. Sorry. Good pitching matchup today. The Blue Jays go against the Yankees again. The Yankees, who can't score any runs. Dylan Cease, who's pitched really well, will probably, I have to tell you, watching the Yankees try to score runs is painful. I mean, they're hanging in there because they're great pitching. Ryan Weathers has pitched very well the last couple times out. Schleter's been awesome. Garrett Cole's been awesome for the most part. Will Warren's had his moments. Max Fried is just tremendous. But you can't ask your pitchers to go out there and give up 1 and 0 runs every day and expect them to not fold from time to time. Just painful to watch. And the Yankees did say this week they have a better feel for the timetable of Bellinger and Stanton's return, which is around September 1st. But Aaron Judge was significantly behind them. That's the terminology they use. That's not a good sign, because there's only 30 or 32 days left in the season after that. Aaron Judge is throwing the baseball yesterday. So that's a good sign. He was cleared to run the other day. Now he's throwing the baseball. But they still have talked about the fact that there is not the type of progress to the injury that they would like to see. And the Aaron Judge that does come back is not going to be 100%. And that could be a problem. On the injury front, too, Ohtani threw yesterday with the as he starts to progress towards pitching again. I don't know. Danny can probably help me. I don't think he's pitched in over a month because of some injury issues. And I don't know. Maybe they'll use him out of the bullpen in the postseason, because they're probably going to be loaded. Snell's going to be back. Glasnow's going to be back. They've got Yamamoto. They've got obviously Skubal. And some others. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll use them out of the bullpen. Maybe Danny's got a feel for what their plans are for the playoffs, but I'm not sure. But using them out of the bullpen, I also think it affects their the DH slot, right? Or maybe it wouldn't. No, I guess maybe it wouldn't. CA, how are you? CA, do you know if Michael got, and I don't know what name Michael used in the fantasy football. Michael did not get a notification. Michael's in the UK. He did not get a notification from ESPN, so we don't know if he's in or out of the league. I was going to look this afternoon myself, too. J-Train is the man, and JQ, John Gonzalez, is in the house. He sees. Yes, they both beat you this morning, Danny. Always good to have all you guys here. James will be here for college football Wednesday nights. We've only got 2 weeks. We'll be playing football. 2 weeks from yesterday is week 0. The big game, the biggest game is North Carolina, and Bill Belichick going to Dublin to play TCU. I know North Carolina State plays Virginia that day. There's a couple other games. There's a Mountain West game that's of interest. Good morning, Donna. I absolutely 100% enjoyed my birthday yesterday. I had a great birthday. I've come to appreciate birthdays a lot more. I've never a birthday person. To me, it was always just another day. I'd go to work and whatever was going on. It was just another day for many years. And the last 10, it's become more and more meaningful to me. And I'm sure that has to do with the fact that there's, far more behind me than there are in front of me. So I think that's one of the reasons. But thank you, Donna. We had a great day yesterday. Weather was great. Company was great. And Donna's saying good morning to some of the folks here. Flag football is for sissies. Rick, you got to tell us what you mean. Well, they're not going to play. I mean, so tell me, would you want to see, if you want to see football in the Olympics, you're not going to play tackle football, I don't think. Because I don't think the time constraints would really lend to playing, whatever, 3-4 games during the course of the Olympic, 2 weeks. So you're going to have to play flag football. And some of these guys are really good at it. And I don't know that some of it gets a little rough. I've watched some of the local flag football leagues, and believe me, there's some physicality in those games. Now, do I have a preference for that over, the NFL? No. But I will tell you, the NFL players cannot play on these flag football teams. I don't know, maybe an offensive lineman can, I don't know. But the flag football guys, the guys who play that either for a living or whatever we want to say, absolutely destroyed the NFL players they played against here a couple months ago. So it just tells you that, the playing those two sports, and they are two different sports. Even if you just want to say one's for sissies, which I'm not necessarily going to say, and one's for tough guys. It's two different sports, obviously, and Rick kind of points that out. Rick, I don't know if you were here earlier. I made a crack about there's a player, a very good player for the University of Miami that I think should transfer to Georgia, as he was cited. He might have been suspended. Let me see. Oh, I lost my. I want to see something. Jordan Lyles was cited for reckless driving. Let's see if I can find it. He was arrested for reckless driving and fleeing the police. And let's see, what was he doing? How fast was he going? Doesn't say. Just a high rate of speed. So I think he'd be a good fit for Georgia, as I think they lead the league or lead the country in driving infractions. It's a good morning from James to everybody. Good morning, Matt. Another voice heard in California. Being Matt's here, we'll do my normal thing, and I'll pull out a random card today. Matt is very kind to send me. Shuffle these up a little bit. Matt is very kind to send me baseball cards of Patriots and Yankees. And today's card is one of my best. Donnie baseball. I was going through the channels the other day and came across. I was on YouTube, I think, and came across Major League Baseball's documentary on Donnie baseball, and it was tremendous. They do some good stuff. It's similar to A Football Life that the NFL Network does. And it was fun to rehash, his peak and even the sadness of his downfall with back injury. So, which some people have surmised now that Donnie might have brought on himself by overworking that back, because he was always taking batting practice. Flag football is good for the little guys. Okay, now we have a debate, Rick. You're up. I don't really have a feeling one way or the other. I know they're not going to play tackle football in the Olympics. I know if they play flag football in the Olympics, the NFL guys should not be involved in any way, shape, or form. Because, first of all, they're not very good at that game. It's not the game they play. And we saw that here not that long ago. A lot of good mornings going on here. Good morning, everybody. No, it shouldn't be, Adana, and this is my problem with a lot of these. And that would, by the way, part of this legislation that the NCAA has been waiting for, a decade, basically, for Congress to bail them out of their own mess. And I believe part of the bill that's going to be passed, a lot of the bill is about, NIL caps, total spending caps. Shocking. It's amazing. We're still amazing me sometimes that we have this conversation about, salary caps in college football. But I do believe part of the bill will address the portal situation, and you'd have one unpenalized transfer in your 5-year career. And the 5's extreme, I'll admit. And I think JT Daniels, he might have been at 4, but there's been guys that have been at 4 or 5 schools. It's not the norm, but you see plenty of guys going to 2 and 3 and 4 schools. Well, not 4, but 3. Darius Menson's been at 3 schools in 3 years now. So again, I'm not exempting my own program from this whole thing. The idea is excellent. It helps teams that may be 1 or 2 players from becoming a contender versus just becoming a crap bowl team. I agree that there should be stricter rules. 100%. Again, as with a lot of things in sports, especially, maybe especially the NCAA, but all sports, this happens. We come up with ideas and they get bastardized into things that they weren't meant to be. The transfer portal was never meant so that somebody could transfer at the drop of a hat. You could be a free agent every single year of your college career, which is basically what it is now. So yeah, again, I agree with James that the idea in principle is a great one. In theory, but in real world application, it sucks. Well, Michael, with the red shirt is gone. There is no more red shirting in football with the new 5-year, 5 years to play 5 years. So you can redshirt a guy or you can sit him. I guess redshirt wouldn't be the right term, but if a guy gets hurt now, a team can't redshirt him and get him an extra year's eligibility. You have 5 years to play 5 seasons. So if you get hurt for 2 of them, you'll get 3 years to play. And I think it's fair because even with the old redshirt rule, you'd only get 5 years to play 4. So there would be no more redshirting. And it's not really a transfer portal situation. It's eligibility in general. So there'd be no redshirting. And if you went to, again, you could go to 5 schools in 5 years and play. James and Don are having their own conversation here. But what about the college that recruited and worked their tail off to get and keep that person? It definitely needs to be more strict. Without a doubt, more strict. I don't necessarily feel that bad for the schools because they're all doing the same thing, unless you're Clemson or one of the naval or one of the military academies. I have to tell you, I mentioned Jeff Monken getting an extension at Army and Army and Navy. I mean, what they've done over the last couple of years in the American Conference is phenomenal. They're in a atmosphere, and again, we're not talking a power conference, but the American Football Conference, the AAC, American Athletic Conference, whatever they call it now, AAC, is a pretty good football league. We've seen good teams come out of there. SMU was there before they went to the ACC. And so what they've done over the last couple of years they've lost people to the transfer portal, the military academies, when guys wash out of whatever, and maybe they're too good at football and they don't want to have to fill their obligation at the end of their careers, and they think they're going to become a professional football player or whatever. So there are a handful of instances where the military academies have lost transfers to other schools. They don't have the ability like every other school does, which was going to be my point about the schools, Donna, is that most of them are not just losing kids. They're also taking kids from other schools. So everybody's in the same boat there, except for the military academies. Clemson with Dabo Sweeney has been very limited. All this year he was much more active in the portal because he needs to be. It's fine for Dabo to stand on his principles, but when it's affecting your program and you really have fallen off your pedestal, you either got, if the times aren't going to change, then you got to change. But again, I think it makes what Army and Navy has done these last couple of years phenomenal for them to be competing. Listen, both these teams were in a conversation for being in the playoff the last 2 years. And Navy, I don't know Army. I know Navy's going to be really good this year. And they're also set up a conundrum outside of all this portal stuff. Army and Navy being as competitive as they've been, again, on a lower level than the power conferences. I'm not telling you they would compete in the SEC or the Big Ten. It's set up a problem where, when all this was going on and the playoff was expanded, and the NCAA was more than happy to leave Army Navy alone, the Army Navy game alone, the week after the playoff teams were selected, which after Championship Sunday, because they didn't think Navy or Army would ever be involved in these conversations. And now that they are, they've left themselves a little bit of an issue potentially that, an Army or Navy team that gets selected to the playoff could lose a game before they participate in the playoff. So again, unintended consequences all over the place when you make all of these radical changes like the NCAA has in the last bunch of years. Danny's with you, Donna. One transfer should be the limit. I 100% agree, except if a coach leaves. I do think there should be one transfer. I think I'm with Danny here. So you have the possibility of two. If the coach leaves, then you should have the option to transfer again. Now, one of the things that's been brought up, though, Danny, is that the coach would not be able to take those players with him. Because, again, you got to remember, it's not just the transfer portal isn't just players, really. It's coaches. And contracts don't hold them back. The Lane Kiffins of the world, the Kellys of the world, and some of them get fired. They leave and don't need to fulfill their contract because they can get a buyout. One of the proposals would be that you could not leave a school until the end of, and I believe it's part of this same bill. There's been so many different versions of this thing that I don't know what's in it right now, what isn't. I'll look into it a little bit deeper before Wednesday's show. But one of the versions had coaches not being able to leave a school until the end of the season. And if they did leave, they would not be able to take any players with them to their new spot, which you see a lot of. You're going to see a lot of guys, whether it's what you saw with Kirk Cignetti in Indiana. Half his team for first year there was made up of guys from James Madison. The latest coach from James Madison who went to USC brought a bunch of guys with him. The coach from Texas State who went to Oklahoma State brought a bunch of players with him. And that's why I like Oklahoma State to be one of the sleepers in the Big 12 this year. The quarterback is going to be really good. So anyway, So just in Danny's opinion, look at the pathetic coaches that show no loyalty, which I just kind of touched on, right? Again, the loyalty, the problem with the loyalty, argument is the fact that nobody has any, Danny, right? Can't get on the players if the coaches don't have any. I can't get on the coaches if the programs don't have any. I mean, if programs are just going to blow up 125 years of history in a conference like USC and UCLA and Washington and Oregon did, why should anybody have any loyalty? They show no loyalty to fans, to their alumni, and some of the alumni might have wanted it, to the conferences, to the other teams in the conference, to anything. There's no loyalty anywhere certainly in the NCAA. And then when you see a bit of loyalty, it stands out. Mike Trout in a different sport, Major League Baseball, obviously, had a chance to leave potentially if they could have worked out a deal. They could have left the Angels this year for the Phillies or the Yankees, and there might have been a third team involved in some of the conversations that the Angels had. But Mike Trout said, "I'm not going anywhere." He was going to. He told them that he would invoke his 10-5 rule, and he was staying. Now, I'm not sure why he wants to stay, but at least he's showing some loyalty to the organization that he's been with for so long. We don't have a lot of these legacy players, as Jack Hirsch likes to call them. But I agree with the argument here for the most part, Danny. CA, flag football is expanding from college to rec programs from decades ago. Played in church and on campus, kids in childhood. It's for money that NCAA and the NFL is embracing it. Look no further than Hannah. I'm not sure who Hannah is. Who's Hannah? It's always money. I mean, you follow the money, right? I don't know how the NFL is embracing it because the NFL is not. Maybe they're paying. I know there's a women's league, flag football league now. And I believe, to CA's point, that some of the colleges have recognized flag football programs, at least for women. I don't know about for men or not. Still could be intramural. But, you know, I don't have a lot of strong opinions about flag football one way or the other, quite frankly. Donna agreeing with Danny. Oh, Hannah McNair. I got you. She's the daughter of the late owner of the Houston Texans, I believe, right? Like what I said, what he said. There's no loyalty on both ends. There should be rules that keep players at least 2 years. And there should be, I don't know about, well, I guess 2 years. That's a good rule, I guess. But I think I like the one, you get one transfer and maybe two if a coach leaves. Or maybe that could fall under the one transfer without penalty. Boy, everybody agrees with me. I got to change this tone of this show. Participation medals and trophies teaches kids that they just have to show up, and 100%. You know, thanks for showing up to work today. What does that teach kids? You know how many people worked for me? Again, I shouldn't say there weren't a lot. There was enough that it annoyed me. And it's in a different age group than mine, I can tell you. That felt like I should, give them a pat on the back just for coming to work. How about you produce something? Then I'll reward you. And I guarantee you participation trophies, the participation trophy syndrome in this country is ridiculous. Nobody should get trophies except the teams that win. And every kid should get a trophy if you're on a winning team. I don't have a problem with that. But you don't give kids trophies just for showing up. It teaches them nothing for down the road. Life is hard, man. And the problem is nobody teaches kids how hard life is. Sports used to. Then we stopped keeping score. Then we started giving participation trophies. Again, life is really hard. And if you don't learn that before you get thrown into the middle of it, you're going to fail miserably or cause other people to fail around you, which is even worse. You need to pull your hair out. What's the matter, buddy? Sadly, haven't been watching. I'm not trying to pry. I hope everything's okay. Only keeping up for my phone. Need to pull my hair out. Hope you're all right, bud. Oh, the Yankees. Oh, I see. I got you. Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal watching this team try to, and again, and I'm not blaming Aaron Boone for this. I mean, at least Aaron Boone is there after games now, not making excuses for guys saying we got to be better. I mean, this team's one and done in the playoffs the way it looks right now. Now it'll get better if Bellinger and Stan comes back and gets hot, and Boone can or Aaron Judge can come back anything close to 100%. But this team, not enough small ball though. They did this for a couple of weeks. They were looking to manufacture runs, but that's kind of gone away now. Watching the Dodgers try and manufacture runs is almost as bad. There you go. That's what happens, though. You know, and again, it's part of what's wrong with the game in general, right? Is this three true outcomes baseball: home runs, walks, and strikeouts. When you rely on home runs, and the Dodgers do a lot of that, when you need to scratch out runs, because home runs are great. Winning by home runs is awesome until you can't. Until you come up against top-notch pitching, especially, and then when you get to the playoffs, you're going to see better pitching. And you've got to, it's hard to just kind of turn on a dime and say, I want to scratch out runs now because I know I can't hit home runs. And I do agree the Brewers definitely, and the Braves, I think to a lesser extent, but more so than most of the teams in baseball, understand situational hitting. Right? That's what we're talking about. Situational hitting. I mean, you don't have to play small ball 100% of the time. But if you approach every situation the same, I mean, you watch guys, the majority of Major League Baseball players, and certainly the majority of the Yankees, because I see them day in and day out. I mean, they approach 2 outs and nobody on base the same way they approach a men on second and third and nobody out. Just swing for the fences. How about getting some runs in? How about moving guys from second to third base with nobody out? How about we hit and run a little bit, put some pressure on the pitchers and the catchers and the fielders in general? No. Nobody wants to see that. You're welcome, James, for whatever I might have done. CA says, good morning, Mr. Gott. European Football Alliance game live on YouTube right now. What's a Europe? I didn't know. Is that football or is that soccer? Good morning, Brian. Brian and Art with us. Tigers hopefully can salvage one game this series with the White Sox. The Tigers had done a good job after trading their 2 aces, Skubal and Mize, at the trade deadline. I've said all along, I don't think this pitching is enough to maybe not even get them in the playoffs, but the team itself, I like the lineup. I think there's a lot of, I think there's a nice mix of veterans and young kids, prospects on this team, for this team to compete this year. And then going forward, they got to fix the pitching staff. Obviously, I don't know what their prospects look like pitching, but they had made a nice run and actually were in the playoffs if they had started that day, which obviously they do not. And now they're, wild card. Yeah, now they're a half game behind the Rangers. The Rangers are now moved into that third spot. The Yankees and Red Sox right now are favorite, sort of comfortable in the first two wild card spots in the American League. But the third spot is held right now by the Rangers, who are 2 games under 500. The American League is, I've said this now for weeks, if not months. The American League is not very good. The Rays just came off a long, 9-game winning streak, and now they've lost a couple in a row. The Red Sox won 25 out of 30 or something, and then they have been ordinary the last 10 games, 4-6. Teams we thought would be really good, like the Mariners, are 8 games under 500, but only 3 back in a wild card. Again, some people might like this parody. I think it sucks. Because all we're doing is seeing a lot of bad baseball teams. I don't think whoever wins the American League, they're going to be prohibitive underdogs in the World Series. Whether it's the Dodgers, whether it's the Braves, whether it's the Brewers. And the Dodgers are not unbeatable. Regardless of what you think about their payroll and their player acquisitions, this team has shown they are not unbeatable. Come October, Tony will be a starter if he's 90%, no doubt. Well, they could have a formidable, again, I still say they're not unbeatable. We've seen they nearly lost last year. They're inches away from losing the World Series. 2 years ago, they trailed the Padres 2-1 in the NLCS, I believe. The team's not unbeatable. It's not like they're rolling through the playoffs, not losing games and winning 10-0. And if I throw out 2020, which I will, because, they got the World Championship. I'll give it to them. But it was a 60-game season. This team's won 2 World Series in the last 38 years, right? Am I right? Am I doing my math right? They haven't ruined baseball. Baseball's done a good job of that. Good morning, Paul Spada. Good to have you with us. I messed up, by the way. Oh, I may not be here Friday. Damn. Yeah, now I don't know about that. I'm so looking. I found the player listings in the college draft, Paul, but I haven't figured out how to rank them yet. I'll figure it out this week. I thought Friday was going to be clear. Now my wife says we're leaving for Connecticut Friday night. So, again, I'm just a passenger here in my life. Mr. Martin. I'm trying to find out, CA, still if Michael is in the Fantasy Football League. Again, if we had North American football in the Olympics, it would just come down to USA and Canada. I 100% agree. I also don't think logistically it's even possible to play North American football in the Olympics because you couldn't play the game. You'd only have to, you might only bring Canada and the U.S. Because how are you going to play more in a couple of games? Michael, there we go. Michael, if you were in the league last year, one of the 2 mics and didn't get a link, then you were the team that only made a couple of lineup changes, no waiver pickups, etc. I don't know. Michael, maybe you can answer that. Everybody should love Donnie Baseball, man. It's so sad that, the Yankees went on that dynastic run the year after Donnie retired. And quite frankly, I wasn't the biggest Tino Martinez fan, especially early on because of it. And I know there was a lot of us. But Donnie, was used up. He had a great he had a great series. His first and only playoff appearance in '95 against the Mariners was a great series. Yankees won the first 2 games at home and then lost 3 heartbreakers in Seattle, especially the last game, heartbreaker. Donnie hit like 417 in that series and had a couple home runs, but he was a shell of the player that he was those last 5 years or so. So is it football? James Martin, one of the best sports minds. There you go. High praise from Paul. Good morning, Paul Spada. Do we need to get J-Train in our college football fantasy next season? There you go. James is a big college football guy. What did I... I was speaking about Dabo. Again, that doesn't change my opinion on change. I do, again, and I've had to do this, Danny. Again, I am very stubborn and very stuck in my ways. But I also understand, for instance, again, ABS isn't going away. So I have to change because it's not. So yeah, that's why I say that. And I think I said it in regards to Dabo Swinney, right, in the transfer portal. He's going to drown in failure if he doesn't embrace the changes. I don't need to embrace the changes, but I have to accept them at some point. I can still be unhappy about them. Dabo can be unhappy about having to go out and, recruit other teams' players. Just like I can be unhappy about the ABS system, but also understand it's not going away. Doesn't mean I'm going to stop railing about it. A lot of Matt says he saw video of the new Bill Stadium. Place looks incredible. Now, I don't know. I think it's a very small percentage of fans, but they let the season ticket holders in there. Might have been this past week or late last week. They let them in there for a workout. And a lot of people were complaining about obstructed sight lines and things like that. It's only $1.4 billion. And I think almost 700 million of it was our tax dollars here in New York. So I don't know why we would expect a state-of-the-art building. It does look nice, Matt. I don't know whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. I know a very small percentage of people were bitching about some of the issues with sight lines and maybe a couple other things in the stadium. I harbor a grudge because I don't like spending my money for team facilities. I mean, if you can spend $12 billion buying the Lakers, then you can afford to build a freaking stadium for them to play in, for instance, or an arena. Robert Kraft and Gillette Stadium, 100% privately financed. There's some others, but not enough. The Bears are going to move to Indiana. It looks like a done deal. Right now, they say they're not looking at any other options than Indiana. And the taxpayers are going to be on the hook for a bunch of freaking money to build them a stadium. That's what's going to happen. They're leaving Illinois because the legislature won't give them money for a new stadium or enough money. How can franchises go for billions, tens of billions of dollars, but these guys can't afford accommodations? And do we need to upgrade stadiums every 10 years? I know Soldier Field is probably obsolete, and it's been upgraded several times. Again, it's probably, I don't know what's wrong with historic stadiums. Again, I'm not a fan of the new Yankee Stadium. Yeah, it's wonderful. Sight lines are much better. You walk in, you can walk around the whole mezzanine and see the game. You're not blocked out. In the old days, you'd be down in the catacombs. You couldn't see anything. if you wanted to go to the bathroom or get a beer or a hot dog. But all that history is gone. I'll be sad. I'm not a Red Sox fan, obviously, but I'll be sad when Fenway's gone. And it's only a matter of time before it's gone. There are no historic parks left except for Fenway and Wrigley. And as I think about this off the top of my head, did the Bills need a new stadium? I don't know. I'm glad it's outdoors. I believe it's 100% outdoors. I'm glad it is. I don't understand. I mean, I understand because it's about money. I don't understand why teams want to build dome stadiums in the Northeast. Oh, because we want to get Super Bowls. But you give up your home field advantage for, what's the point? Football's meant to be played outside. Baseball's meant to be played outside, not in domes. Hate dome stadiums in all sports. Hate them. Good morning, Neil. Lincoln Riley hasn't done a very good job of it, by the way, poaching other players. Lane Kiffin has done this. He's been the biggest mover and shaker in the player portal from the time he got to Florida Atlantic. Obviously on a much lower level when he was there, but once he got to Ole Miss, ramped it up, and now even more so. But again, he's only playing by the rules that are there. Lincoln Riley, he hasn't been very successful in what he's done player poaching either. But you're right about them being the two of the biggest. I don't think Lincoln Riley holds a candle to Lane Kiffin. Listen, I've stuck up for Lane Kiffin a lot. But I have to tell you, this whole Jaden Daniels thing with Lane Kiffin and LSU is ridiculous. I don't even know what side I come down on. Who's the bad guy here? Is it Lane Kiffin and the LSU program? Is it Jaden Daniels? Is it DJ Pickett and his family who won't budge? He wore number 3 last year. I don't know why he's got to go to number 5 this year. I know he wore it in high school and whatnot, but it was available last year. So this is Lane Kiffin's doing. We know that because he wasn't given number 5 last year. And Daniel says he was given, given their word that they wouldn't give it to another player, the number 5. Joe Burrow says that he was told the same thing, and his number 9 has not been redistributed. Now, he did win a national championship, but again, I don't know who the bad guy is here. I really don't. I feel like the school is disrespecting, one of the greatest players to play in their organization or their program. But it feels like Jaden Daniels is being a little bit childish here as well. And now he's suing them with a cease and desist from letting them use the number and also use his name and likeness in any of their marketing. It's an ugly situation, and it's not a good look for anybody. It's not a good look for Lane Kiffin. It's not a good look for LSU. It's not a good look for Jaden Daniels, and it's not a good look for JD Pickett or DJ Pickett and his family. Mike Trout might be the loyalist version of the 2026 and last one remaining from this point forward. I don't disagree, Danny. And I still think there might come a time Mike Trout says, I only got a couple of years left. He's got a contract that runs through 2030, I think, or 2031. But if he gets to a point where he thinks, I got a couple of years where I might be healthy. Again, it's always a maybe with Mike Trout. The Angels aren't winning anytime soon. The Angels aren't winning as long as Artie Moreno owns that team, in my mind. And he may say, I want a chance to win. And I wouldn't hold it against him if he wanted to leave. But I mean, there is a certain amount of I guess there's a certain amount of gratitude I feel in that type of loyalty, because you don't see it today. And Mike Trout might be the last guy. We don't see guys as those legacy players like Jack likes to call them today. I still think there's a chance he changes his mind at some point here in the next couple of years, especially when the Angels are doing nothing to try to win, and their ownership. And I got to believe from ownership on down, the team doesn't appear to be interested in winning. They do nothing to improve this team. Michael, what former powerhouse programs, Keith, need rebuilding in college football? Looking at myself, UCLA. Well, Rutgers, I wouldn't call a powerhouse ever. They've had some good years. Vanderbilt's had really good years the last few years, Michael, and I think UCLA is really the only one that would really fall into your description of powerhouse programs, former powerhouse programs that need rebuilding. Clemson and UCLA would be at the top of that list. Nebraska is another one. I'm trying to think of a couple others. Let me look at. I gotta cheat a little bit here. Hold on. Let me go through the. We talked about Florida State is another one. Mike Norvell's probably going to get fired if they play really badly in two of their first three games, and they've got a cupcake their first game, and then they've got SMU and Alabama, and those two games could be ugly, and it might cost Mike Norvell his job. I'm trying to find a couple others for you, Michael. Colorado would be one, I guess. A little bit below, obviously, Nebraska and Clemson. Michigan State. Penn State, they've been winning, but again, not competing for national championships the way they want. USC, although they're making some small steps coming back, not nearly, where they were a couple decades ago. Miami would have fallen in that until the last couple of seasons. Auburn is another one. Oklahoma to some extent. That's about it. Maybe somebody can come up with some others, Michael, but I gave you a few there. Clemson, number one. Chris, Sandy Alcantara sounds like a loyalty player. He always talked about He's always talked about moving. Not him, I don't think, but the team. But maybe he just flat out likes Miami. I think that's been their decision more than his, because he doesn't have. I don't know what his contract calls for as far as no trade, but he doesn't fall into 10-5 rule like Trout does. But he could be. Marlins probably are not going to keep him, because the Marlins don't keep players. They move them for younger guys. And somehow the Marlins keep competing. They survived a 12-game losing streak earlier this year, not that long ago, and they're 3 games out of the wild card still, with very few names on that roster. And the ones that are always going to be in danger of moving, because they're never going to pay guys. I mean, Sandy Alcantara, and maybe he's at his peak anyway, but as far as earnings, he's not getting a bigger contract in Miami than he has today. But he might stay there. I mean, I just don't see the Marlins as a team that's interested in legacy players. And it's more important for some teams than some players. Aaron Judge is more valuable to the Yankees than he is to any other team in baseball because of what he means off the field. Because he means more being a lifetime Yankee than he would be if he went to the Giants when they were hot after him a couple years ago before he signed his mega contract. Donna says, so true, life is hard, and these kids now don't understand that because they get everything handed to them. I'm glad your girls are 35 and 28. Yeah, I see it, and not so much with our family. A little bit creeps into everybody, to me in their 20s and 30s. There's a sense of entitlement. And I don't think it's a lack of work ethic, because I think, again, the people that I'm close to in that age group all work and they're progressively moving up. But I see a lot of, they want a lot of stuff before, without, I'm not saying they don't earn it, but you can't look at people in their 50s and 60s and say, I want all of that now. And I think you see it, loyalty. We talked about loyalty too. So it might be a lesson that sports teaches badly today too, is loyalty, lack of loyalty. People don't have loyalties to a job or a company, right? A lot of people my age worked for one company or two. I worked for two companies in 45 years. Now, I remember interviewing people, and I used to throw out resumes that they only had a year or two at a job. Can't do that now. At the end, I couldn't do that because I would just eliminate almost all the good prospects. I like the fact that people today, young kids today, have more opportunities than ever before. Men and women. But I think they look to move quicker, leave jobs quicker. And if you're moving upward, I get it, I guess. But I don't know if they're willing to wait within their company, right? I think they're more willing to move up than wait their turn within their own company. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm really not. It's just different than the environment I grew up on. I had many opportunities to move and never did. And it worked to my advantage as the years went by. Maybe not that minute, but later on. So it's hard. I don't know. And sports are a big part of it. I'm not saying sports teaches everybody, because everybody doesn't play sports, right? And there are plenty of people who didn't play sports who are very successful in the real world. But I will forever say playing sports when I was in my youth taught me valuable lessons about life, professionally and personally. Some of them I should have learned sooner. Neil, Brian Cashman needs to finally go. The lack of hitting is ridiculous. Yes. And it's directly tied to the fact that the depth on this team has been woeful for a couple of years. This team isn't deep. I don't know why they think they're deep. They aren't. They never were. I think they fooled themselves. And when you got Aaron Judge and you got Stanton and you got other guys that have injury history, you've got to be prepared when they go down. And this team was woefully prepared for that. And you add on to that, some key guys who just have been abysmal, like Jazz and Chisholm and Wells, particularly. Again, I'm not going to throw McMahon into this because I didn't expect him to hit. And quite frankly, the third base tandem has played good defense and has showed some pop. The batting average isn't very good, but I didn't expect it to be. I needed more out of Grissom. That's the worst $22 or $23 million the Yankees could have spent. And maybe they thought he wouldn't accept it when they tendered him. But you're right. Cashman is, listen, maybe in some places competing most every year for the playoffs is okay. It's not. And you can call me spoiled. You can call me whatever you want. But one world championship in 25 years? What is it? 2000, 26 years. One. I'm sorry. That's two. Since 2001. One championship. 2009. 2009, 17 years ago. I understand there's other teams that go through longer periods. I don't care. That's not okay here. How Brian Cashman has kept his job is amazing to me. Aaron Boone, you look at his overall numbers and they're good. No world championships, one trip to the World Series, and a gazillion excuses for players. I'm not blaming him for this recent tough stretch. I mean, he's managed to keep this team afloat somehow with all these injuries. And he's taken to at least going into press conferences after the game and saying, we got to be better. Maybe he's learned. I don't think so. You know, and also in an era, Neil, it's funny with Aaron Boone. Also in an era, and I give him credit for this, actually. I find it fascinating. And an era where, you know, we were told with replay and the ABS, it was going to be impossible for managers to get thrown out of games because there'd be nothing to argue because they couldn't come out and argue. Aaron Boone has found a way to get thrown out of 50 ball games in his career. Kudos to you, Aaron. At Dollarama, in the picture frame section, one of the frames comes with a certificate for excellence in the field of excellence. Can you give me a bunch of those? That's amazing. Oh, God. I got to speed up these comments, I guess. How far behind am I? Wow. I'm way behind. I apologize, guys. If you're new to the show, always stick it out because I fall behind. There you go. Wills, Chisholm, Rosario need to go. Rosario's... he's a bench player. I wouldn't mind having Rosario around a little bit, but Wells, Chisholm, Jazz Chisholm's off this team. And I think Grisham's got, they only tendered him for 1 year or two, and I think they'll both be gone. Jazz is a free agent. He's fine defensively, but not enough. John Gonzalez is back. With the big swings on 0-2 counts these days, I could see Tommy Lasorda's eyes popping out of his head. In the past 30-something years, some of the best choke up two-strike hitters are. I can't think of any. Tony Gwynn. You know, Tony Gwynn was in certain places was derided for his lack of walks. But Tony Gwynn was paid to hit. And Tony Gwynn had a great understanding of situational hitting. That's why I laugh about outlawing the shift. Put the shift on. The players should be able to hit away from the shift. Remember getting these arguments with the Mad New Yorker? Oh, the pitchers are too good. Come on. Bob Feller threw the ball 104 miles an hour. Guys hit the other way. The idea in baseball is hit the ball where they aren't. Not just choke up and try to hit it over everybody's head every single time. Put a shift on against Tony Gwynn, he would have hit 500. Danny is the West Coast icon. Trying to catch up a little bit. Mike Rizzo, Juan Gonzalez, Brian Harper, Twins catchers in the 90s. Rizzo did choke up a bit. I don't know about Juan Gonzalez. And Harper, I don't remember. I remember Brian Harper, but I don't remember his approach that much. Years ago, remember what years ago when the number 2 hitter was a guy who might be hitting 240? And I'm not saying this should be how baseball's played, but they were just a guy who would bunt or, could hit the ball the other way to move a guy to third base. And that was his whole job. And then we got to the point, and I don't know that I have a problem with this. A lot of times your best hitter now is hitting second, which I don't think is bad because you want to get him more bats. But there are no of these, Ted Sizemores of the world around anymore. Just the name that came to my head. John Gonzalez, this icon needs more pep in his step. Between the new pacemaker and the pneumonia I just got over, I have no energy. I'm missing my 5 a.m. shows. Well, you're missing them for a good reason, and we do hope you're doing better, Danny. I know it's been a tough go, and I'm sure once you get past this, the pacemaker is going to be a life changer for you once you get past this pneumonia. Are they tied together, by the way? Because you had this pacemaker, and then you got pneumonia like a couple of weeks later or a week later. Couple weeks. Man, that's what it felt like. I have a bad relationship with time, but I hope you're doing well, and I hope these two things aren't related. And once you get past all this, that pacemaker will be a life changer for you. A 1 of 1 Cooper flag was just pulled. Could be a $5 million car. You have it, Matt? Donnie Baseball. Everybody loves Donnie Baseball. Donnie's been a pretty good manager too, by the way. He was learning the ropes when he was with the Dodgers. And I think, Danny, we came to grips with the fact that you were okay with the job Donnie did there. I mean, it was a flawed team when Donnie was there, but he did a pretty good job getting to the playoffs and whatnot. He did a remarkable job in Miami. And he's done a pretty good job with Philadelphia now, although they've hit a tough streak here the last month or so. Donnie never got a chance to manage the Yankees and isn't going to. And I think it's probably best that he did. When he was up for the job against Joe Girardi back after Joe Torre left, there was a lot of stuff going on in Donnie's personal life that probably would have been a huge distraction for him if he'd taken that Yankee job at the time, and probably best that he didn't because it may not have gone well. Total conjecture on my part. Ernie Clement is locked in until 2030, but he's eligible for arbitration. All things considered, could RB hit get the year off? What do you mean? I'm not sure what you mean. He could hit the jackpot. I mean, here's the thing, though. What I don't like is, if he's arbitration eligible, I'd have to look at his contract. I don't know enough about his contract, Chris, to be sure. He's a fine player. I'd love to see this guy in the Yankees. There's a guy who puts his bat on the ball. NFL World Flag Championships. Flag football, I see. Italy versus USA on YouTube now. Keith and all. We gave you all a heads up on EFA, NFL, flag football expansion, even Hannah's involvement with the high school girls. I remember. I don't have strong feelings about flag football one way or the other. If it's in the play, if it's expanding in the high school level and the college level, and we're going to play in the Olympics, it doesn't matter to me. Why? I hate domes, John. You think there should be domes in the New York stadiums? I mean, your teams lose the home field advantage that they have. You know how many times, and I know you won't like this analogy, but do you know how many times, or this, I guess this analogy, the huge advantage the Patriots had playing 8 o'clock Saturday games in the playoffs in January? When Tennessee had to come up here, or San Diego had to come into town. That's not nearly the home field advantage if you got a dome. And I really think the games are meant to be played outside. Now, if you're talking about other events being used there, or being used for other events during the winter months, yeah, it's not good for that. That's for sure. But neither's Gillette, neither's the Meadowlands, and they still have plenty of events in the months that have good weather. I'm just not a fan of domes. Never been a fan of domes. So true. These players need to pay for their own darn ballparks. The owners, rather. Yeah, I just don't understand why you've got to get the state to finance, half or 2/3 of a stadium or more, when you just bought teams for, billions of dollars. $12.5 billion the Lakers were just sold for. Paul's listening while driving. Good. Hope we can get to Fenway before they destroy it. I mean, there's no plans to do it right now, Donna, but again, Wrigley and Fenway are all I can think of stadiums that are left with any history. I agree 100%, John. You go there, you'd go to the old stadium and there was like a buzz. And by the way, you go to the old stadium, John, I know you know what I'm talking about here. When you'd be making your way, through the turnstiles and up the escalators, and when you went up those runways, and you could see the little speck of light up there, right? But when you get up there from the catacombs down below, I like to call them, and you walk out to where that field was, how magical was that? And it was always a buzz in a stadium. Now it feels like, there's guys in their phone. It's just, I don't like it. I haven't been to the stadium all year. I don't know if we're going. I might go in September, but you know what I'm talking about, right, John? My apologies. The IFAF World Flaggy Championships. Only been to the new stadium once, never to the old one. Can imagine. Oh my God, Matt, you cannot imagine the ghosts in this place. And I'm not exaggerating. When you would walk up the runways, you couldn't see. Now you walk all the way around the field, you can see the game. You can walk the whole thing, you never miss a thing. And that's wonderful, I guess. But there's just something missing. When you would walk up these dark catacombs and into that beautiful, beautiful green. Oh, man. Danny agrees, not a Red Sox fan. I'm with you. The day they blow Fenway Park up will be a sad time. Oh, I agree. Mike Trout will probably end his career in Philadelphia. That, if he was going to leave, John, that would be my bet as well. Again, to my earlier discussion, a big part of me would like to see him play his whole career in as an Angel, but I think it would suck because he's not going to get a chance to ever win a championship, not as long as Artie Moreno owns that team. And the Phillies were his childhood team growing up in New Jersey. So I'm a little surprised, though, if he didn't do it now, and we don't know if a deal would have got worked out, but he had said he would not go in any event. If he wouldn't go now, when? I don't know. Arkansas is a good one, Neil, to put on that list that Michael asked about as former powerhouses that have been awful. Or not. Well, I've mentioned a couple teams that weren't awful, but they were not. They're shell of what they used to be. Clemson, and more recent, Arkansas is probably a little further back. They've had a couple good teams in the last couple decades, but not many. And they do have a rich history in football, going back to Frank Broyles and even Lou Holtz before he went to Notre Dame, went to Minnesota first. Interesting. I don't know. I never understood why Lou Holtz left Arkansas to go to Minnesota before he went to Notre Dame. But that's a good one for the list. I like it. Got to cook the hubby some breakfast. I'm hungry. Bring enough for everybody. Have a good day, Donna. I noticed that young women who plays at UCLA volleyball has stopped making in-uniform videos for plugs for her own OnlyFans page. Perhaps the proper chat was had. We talked about this a couple weeks ago, right? Chris, I think Chris brought it up, actually, and I asked him to bring it up on the Sunday show. So that's interesting. I'm guessing somebody pulled her aside and said, this isn't a good look. Danny doesn't agree that Trout will go to the Phillies. I think Trout has a sight set on being labeled only play on one team. I think it's entirely possible. And I think, again, I'm torn between being very appreciative of that loyalty because we aren't going to see much of it, or if any of it, going forward. You got Trout and Aaron Judge and probably a handful of other guys. Who knows? George Lombard might be one guy. I don't know. We're never going to know. But part of me also wants him to get a chance to win, and it won't happen in L.A. Yes, Donna, have a masterpiece of a day. Could the Yankees' offensive issues come from the top down, Keith, or maybe some chemistry problems in the locker room rather than coaches or even players? It's possible. I mean, they've had some issues with Jazz here this year. And a few incidents. I think there's a lot of things at play here. I think it's the overall, personally, here's what I think. It's the overall approach of the organization to offense. They're more worried about launch angles and exit velocities, and this is what they're teaching in the minor leagues, by the way, than they are in situational hitting. And it's not just the Yankees. I think it's an epidemic in baseball. So you brought guys in who don't have good fundamentals when it comes to this type of approach, like Jazz. And you've got guys who have come up in your organization like Volpe and Dominguez and Spencer. We've only seen in the small samples. Wells, who don't have a very good approach at the plate. There's a time to swing exactly the way they swing now, but that's not every situation. And it's very frustrating. So yes, Michael, I think it's an overall organizational issue. I hate the shift. I don't mind the shift, actually. I hate the rule against the shift. You should be able to play anywhere you want in the field. You're the Mike Trout of our show? You are. Actually, you are. A lifetime with one team. Well, you go other shows, but I get it. I like that analogy. Ted Sizemore made a career out of bunting after Lou Brock got on. Yeah, bunting or hitting, move him into third base, right? Brock could get on, steal second, and Sizemore move him to third. One way or the other. But one way or the other is the key here, right? Sometimes it was a bunt. Sometimes he'd hit the ball to the right side. We don't do that now. I mean, think about the ridiculous man on second base to start extra innings. How many times do you see anybody move the guy to third base? Once in a great while. That should be automatic. Makes no sense. When I had Billy Martin Jr. on the show, we were talking about his dad. I was telling him that I felt if his dad was managing now with this automatic runner on second base, you might see him bunt and then suicide squeeze as often as anything else. Especially if you're the home team in these situations. Maybe if you're the road team, I get it. Maybe you play for a bigger inning than one run, but why? Rod Carew and Pete Rose would almost choke up to the barrel of the bat. Well, they both choked up a little bit anyway, right? And with two strikes, It was hard to strike out these guys. But again, that was the game was different then. We didn't just say, 180 strikeouts is fine. An out's an out. Well, there's no less productive out in baseball than a strikeout. That's just common sense. But and again, it's a whole generation now of players and coaches and organizational thought processes that say these three true outcomes are okay. This is the way the game should be played. Play it like it's, EA baseball. Blah, blah, blah. Yes, Danny, get well. I thought we'd had that conversation. Took over for Joe Torre. I thought he did a really good job, and he was learning on the job, right? It was his first job, and that's a tough place to get your first job. Dave Roberts has done okay. Pick it up a little here. Now women's football, flag foot. And by the way, guys, we're going to get to the point here in a couple of weeks. I guess 3 weeks. Where the show will end by 10:45. We might shorten it to an hour and a half just to be a little more uniform because I've got to get to where I got to get for NFL Sundays. And then if we have a day I'm not going anywhere, we'll lengthen that out a little bit. The flag footsie. How come you're calling it something different every time? Canada versus USA shocked their meeting in the final. I think you mean that sarcastically, right? Mattingly should have been the Mets manager. There were times they could have brought him in, I'm sure. Donnie's done a good job wherever he's been. He did a great job with a horrible organization in Miami. Got him in the playoffs. Now, again, that was that 2020 season, so facts. Danny should buy the Angels. Why would you waste your money like that? Hello, Don. We always get a betting question once we get to football season. This is a baseball one. Would I take Arizona today? And I try to answer them as honestly as possible. And anybody else can pipe in here if they want. Let me just take a quick look at this pitching matchup today. Let's take a look. Runs are so tough, man. What's the money line? Grant Holmes against Eduardo Rodriguez. I like the Braves at home here. The plus 1.5. If I got to bet the run line, I might bet the 1.5 with these two pitchers. Maybe. That's hard, though, in today's game. You almost got to bet money lines in baseball, Donnie. I got to believe. I just to make this quick, I would take the Braves plus minus 1.5. Oh, wait a minute. That's yesterday's game. Hold on, I got it wrong game. My bad. And it was 10-3 yesterday, by the way. Let me correct myself here. 135. Mike Soroka, Bryce Elder. I might bet the over/under in that game at 9. By the way, sorry. Let me go back to Donnie here real quick. Atlanta's only minus 124. Soroka's probably better than Elder, but I like the Braves at home. It's hard to bet against home teams. I'd go over the 9 or bet the money line on the Braves, minus 124. Or minus 1.5. Talk of rebuilding Dodger Stadium and a 45,000 seat stadium, but rebuilding it to a 45 seat stadium. But over the last 15 years, they've just remodeled it and done an amazing job at that. Again, at this point, that's a historic stadium, Danny, quite frankly. I mean, it's been there for 70 years, almost 60 years. They played in the Coliseum when they first went out to LA, right? You did feel magic. Again, I can't tell anybody. And John, I think you'll get this too. It's just impossible to explain to anybody what it felt like to walk up there and just walk into that sunshine and that gorgeous field and all the history that was there. Yes, we'll start doing we're back, I should say, Don, doing the college football huddle on 7 p.m. Eastern on Wednesday nights, and I'll be happy to help you with any bets college football. I do pretty well. Again, when I'm only picking and choosing games, when I got to pick them all, or they give me games I got to pick, I'm not as good in the pick them, but when I'm picking out 3 games to bet in the cigar box, for instance, I do pretty well. Should they leave the classic stadiums like Fenway and Wrigley up for nostalgia? Use them. If you decide you can't play baseball there anymore, I agree 100%. They should turn them into a museum. I agree 100%. Or, great example too, play classic games there. If we go play the Field of Dreams game in Iowa, we can leave Fenway Park up when the Red Sox decide they can't play there anymore, and let high school teams play there. Play the Massachusetts State Championships there. I'll put some pepper on your potato before what? With the lockout looming. Yeah, you're teeing me up here. No. I can't. I guess it's possible. All right. If I want to use logic, I guess it's possible that this new Saudi league, which there's only a few teams, right, could heat up, but I'll never support it. Again, I'm not. One of the big reasons I didn't support Live Golf was the fact that the Saudis backed it. It was blood money, right? I'm not into, helping them wash the blood off their money by them investing in sport. The Saudis like to portray themselves as our friends. Fact is, look at the people involved in 9/11. They weren't from Iraq. Mike Trout's 35, going to finish his career right where he started, the 25th pick out of Millfield, New Jersey. Part of me wants to see that. Part of me wants him to have a chance to win. I'm really torn, Danny. Don't ask Reggie to bunt. It's funny, and everybody. I got time for this story. Everybody talks about Reggie and Billy's big dust up in Fenway Park in the dugout when he pulled Reggie for, in his mind, loafing after a ball that Jim Rice turned into a double. The video's famous. But less famous is the next year in 1978, and this was a few weeks before Billy got fired. They were in Kansas City, and Billy asked him to bunt. And I think that's what Danny's referring to. And then he took it off. He took the bunt sign off, and Reggie kept still trying to bunt. And Dick Hauser came down and said, Billy doesn't want you to bunt. He said, I'm bunting. And Reggie ended up fouling the ball off for strike 3. And he very calmly went to the dugout, took off his glasses, and expected another altercation with Billy, and it didn't come. But Reggie got suspended, and not too long after, Billy resigned, but for all intents and purposes was fired. Hey, speaking of Reggie's, by the way, Reggie Smith, I think, was inducted into the LA Dodgers Hall of Fame. I'm not sure what we're calling it. I saw it somewhere yesterday. What's it being called? Oh, you can probably help me out here, Danny. What's he being inducted to? getting his due at Dodger Stadium. He's the newest inductee into the Legends of Dodger Baseball. And that's a long time coming, isn't it? What a great hitter. Great fielder, great arm in right field. I mean, I feel like Reggie was, and you can tell me I'm wrong because there were some great players on that team, but Reggie was a key to those 77, 78 Dodgers that the Yankees played against in the World Series 2 years in a row. Happy birthday to Delino DeShields Jr. He's 34 and 28 and 2 his stolen bases in the independent league this year. Jesus, he's 30. He's 34. I remember his dad, for crying out loud, better than I remember him. I can't let the show end today without talking about the W and WNBA. The league is finally above water, wants to bring it down over what's a woman, flat out discussing. It's crazy. It's not hard. This is totally common sense, Danny, for sure. And I know you've been here the last couple of weeks while we talked about that. We'll get into it as we need to the next, however, this is going to go on for a while. They keep shooting themselves in the foot. The play, you know what? There's been a lot of great play on the court. And they're turning Sophie Cunningham into a martyr for speaking just common sense and logic. You know, I've said this a couple of times, and we've talked about it, that women have fought for certain rights and equality in sports and other things, certainly other things in this world for decades. But now we're going to take away, potentially, jobs, high-paying jobs at that, for women to be replaced by men who identify as women. I get lost. So anyway, we've talked about that a lot, and I don't have a problem with you to bring it up, Danny, at all, just because the nonsense of it is crazy. I mean, they are starting to get a little traction, but all the off the court stuff, whether it's this topic, what's a woman, not that hard. And the race situation is nuts. But anyway, it is what it is. Yeah, the Legend of Dodger Baseball. Well deserved in my mind. Yes, Danny? Before I go? I'd love to hear your comment on my comment that Reggie Smith was the key player in that lineup, 77, 78. Great players, Garvey, Lopes, Say, Russell, Baker. I think Reggie was the key. You majored in sarcasm. Well, many of us did. Majored in sarcasm in junior high amongst maturity and many other things. Here's the thing. Women's flag is better than them in real football. Even that absurd bikini league. now if it evolves. I'm fine. If flag football evolves into something, I'm more than happy. Yeah, he's a very valuable player. I think the key player in that lineup. Those were fun times in my life. I got to tell you, 77, 78, two of the best years of my life. The WNBA shot itself, and we're going to get out of here in just a second. The WNBA shot itself in the foot with all this dumb drama. There's some great players they don't know how to promote. Clark being one of them, Aja Wilson, and Olivia Miles, etc. There are some great players. I agree. And I've watched some games this year, and the play to me is better. Very physical for some reason, and that might be due to other issues. But they are really testing the maxim that the only bad publicity is no publicity in the WNBA for sure. And I got to tell you, this what's a woman debate? That's a shocking word to use. It could be the linchpin that ends this league. If they come out on the wrong side of this, the illogical side of this, then this league may be done much sooner than later, for sure. into a real woman playing flag in sexy outfits and big money. Well, you go. CA is honest to a fault. Thank you, CA. Could you let me know? I'll check out Michael Gott and whether he's in or out or whether there's any issues there. Guys, we'll see you on Wednesday. I'll see you tomorrow morning, rather, with Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook. And I'll see you Wednesday at 7 with the College Football Huddle. See you then. And we'll keep you informed about next Sunday. Bye-bye.